welcome to Small Town Big Business, a podcast about doing big business in small town rural America. I'm Jennifer Olson, Director of Business Development for the City of Marion, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Russ Williams, Director of EThOs. EThOs is a small business incubator, co-working spaces, training and development center here in downtown Marion, Illinois. Welcome. Glad you could join our podcast today. We also want to welcome and thank our sponsors for making the podcast possible. So I'll name those: Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Southern Illinois Now, Swinford Media Group, our producer at Union Street Arts, and of course the Watermark Auto Group Foundation.
Welcome, listeners. Today we are very excited to have somebody with us, and that is Faith Wagner. And she started with Downtown Dip in Carterville and is now also second location.
Yay!
Just on the square here in Marion.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be in Marion as well. Thank you.
And we're excited to have a pretty sizable space back up to the full and highest use. So thank you for taking that space.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a big space and I have big ideas. So ice cream shop first and we'll see what comes later.
There you go. Well, tell us about the ice cream shops and what you provide.
Yeah, so at both of my locations, I have 24 flavors. I sell super premium ice cream from Madison, Wisconsin. It's called the Chocolate Shop Ice Cream Company. That's my supplier. And they sell the highest quality ice cream that the American Dairy Council, allows. And it's delicious. We have over 150 flavors that I rotate through. We make our own waffle cones. We can make shakes, sundaes, all of the things that you would want at a hometown ice cream shop. So.
Well, and when I think hometown, I know that you have a special place in your heart for employing young people and kind of providing a safe place that they can hang out, even after they finish their Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved working with teenagers, mentoring, that kind of thing. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to open my first ice cream shop. And up to today, I've employed over 75 teenagers in our community, which feels really exciting. And I just love watching them grow from their first day as a scooper when they're super nervous and they're not sure what to do, but they're very eager, into becoming a shift leader, managing the other ones, helping me train the new scoopers. It's really rewarding.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about your backstory, because I know when I was a kid, moving from eating ice cream to starting an ice cream business was what I wanted to do, but that's probably not how it got started.
Yeah, it wasn't ever anything on my bucket list. I didn't know this was my future, but I'm really proud. I'm really excited that it's my future. During COVID, I think, is when my youngest was going into kindergarten. I had been a stay-at-home mom for, 15, 20 years, and I had never made any dreams for myself. So I was thinking, what can I do? Well, where I used to live in Pennsylvania, they had these small little towns, and every single one of them had their own ice cream shop. And it seemed like they'd have people lined up to the street, and it was just where you would go to gather, where your community would go. You go after games and concerts and that kind of thing. And we were really missing something like that in Carterville. So I was thinking, could we bring something like that here? I had 3 teenagers at the time. Is there somewhere they could work? Just that gathering, that community that I was missing. I thought, I don't know anything about that, but maybe I can do that. And looking back, if I knew how much I didn't know,
sure.
I don't think I would have ever taken that risk. But since I didn't know how much I didn't know.
So you don't have a business degree?
No, not at all. I have a music education degree.
Yeah, good training for this.
Right. Yeah, so I just jumped in feet first, and it worked, thankfully.
Well, apparently, because now it's worked enough to do a second one.
Yeah. Yep.
So, a small business owner has to wear a lot of hats, and some of them are fun, like watching young people develop, and some of them are not. So tell us about favorite parts and the parts that if you could get to a point to hire or delegate, and maybe you're there. Tell us kind of about you and your hats.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest challenge, is that a small business owner wears all of the hats. You're the trainer, the manager, you do the schedule, you do inventory, ordering, you do the legal side, you do the maintenance, you're sometimes the scooper. So thankfully, I have been able to bring on Lauren Miller as a full-time assistant, and she helps me with all of the behind-the-scenes things. She has great ideas that she brings. So that's been a big relief, but you can't delegate everything, So working through those kinds of challenges has been one thing, but the other side of it that's so rewarding is I just had one employee text me the other day, and she started out as just a very timid, mild scooper, first job, and now she's one of my shift leaders. She, will run the whole show for me. If I'm out of town, I could trust her to do anything, and she texted me, hey, this is the problem that came up, and this is the solution, and I already put it in place. Just wanted to let you know. And I was like, wow, like that's full circle of her completing the job that I would have had to take care of at the very beginning.
Well, but that kind of says something about you as a leader too, is like empowering your people to make the decision. I think especially when you're working with young people, that can be difficult, that you can put that trust and that, within a parameter, they're able to make that call. Yeah, it is difficult to put that trust in. And we've had plenty of accidents, myself included. But I hope I hope they're learning some integrity, some initiative, work ethic, to see what needs to be done and take the initiative. That's what I keep saying. If you see something on the floor, it's not someone's job to pick it up. It's your job to pick it up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Faith, tell us, what does it take to have like a shop in one small town, successful shop, then think and say and do, I think that I can expand. I can go into another small town, because that's a hurdle that many business owners will never be able to accomplish. Yeah, that's a great question. It was something on the back of my mind for a while, but I never felt like I was in a place where it could actually happen until it did. So I thought about it, and I was like, one of the things that I really had to do was make sure all of my procedures and policies were in place so that it was an easy transfer to a second location. Because if I had to reinvent everything all over again, there's no way. That was so much work in the beginning. But being able to transfer policies, procedures, and a lot of the decision making to a second location helped a lot. Like, keeping the same color scheme, buying the same freezers in the back, everything, identical was really helpful. And then just being patient, I think, was the next step. I had looked at a spot in Murfreesboro, in Goreville, and a different spot in Marion last summer, and it just didn't feel quite right yet. But then it was in a 12-hour span where I had like a spark, talked to this person, talked to that person, and had visited 2 locations by the end of the day. And one of them was this. So when it was right, it just happened. Yeah. Well, tell us about your new spot. So I'm so excited to be right off the square and behind Little Nashville in Marion. And it's a huge space with tons of seating, it's so exciting, because that's one of the main reasons that I wanted to open a shop, is just to have that gathering space. So I haven't counted yet, but I should, probably over 40 seats inside. I have ideas to expand with other sweet treats and maybe a second kind of side business in there. That's cool. Was a little teaser. Do you like churros? Let me ask that. You know what? There's that ice cream. Every summer they have this ice cream competition where you can submit ideas for new flavors. And every year I'm like, churro. Okay, so well, I can talk offline. We'll try to get that in business. There. Yeah, it's exciting to be in there. The space is huge and just so welcoming with the colors we put in there. We have a new mural in there that you're going to love. And that's so cool. So great. So I'm hearing rumors about you already plugging in to events that are happening around the square, which I think is amazing. I don't know how, just in the early days you make that leap, but I'm super excited to see you work with different organizations and all of that. But it's a balance, right? Because as a small business, you can also give away too much, so how do you decide when people are hitting you up all the time? Oh, that's such a great question. You're exactly right. The balance thing is
it's a tricky tightrope because you want to support the schools, especially the community. You want to be there for every ball team and everything like that. But you also are a business, so you have to make a profit at some point. So that's something that I learned, is to set that budget for myself. This is how much I can give. And then when it's over, I'm like, please hit me up again next year, like maybe you'll make the cut before I run out next year. But also one thing that I've already been welcomed in the Marion community with is this collaboration thing. Like Crown Brew invited me to be part of the 618 day with their coffee ice cream. And that's really exciting. And things like that. That's what I love about small town business, is just this. We help you, you help us, we lift each other. It doesn't have to be a competition. It's more, people love to support small businesses who are supporting small businesses. So it just works out for everybody in that way.
And I do think that is an evolution. I think that it's
Absolutely.
not that many years or decades back that people were so competitive and so closed off and they didn't work with it. But now, I mean, my words for 2025 are communication and collaboration. And I see it all the time, especially around the square, whether it's, Little Nashville Cafe doing hot sauce from Glacier's End on their wings and all of this. So I'm happy that you're already part of that network with your collab with Crown Brew.
Me too.
Did you have
exciting.
those connections before you started the business, or did you put
No.
yourself out there and take the risk of like, I hope I can collaborate and connect because I can't do it by myself, right?
Totally. I think there's a little bit of both that happens. In Carterville, for me, it was the Chamber of Commerce. They reached out, and then I had this huge network of other business owners who were happy to help and mentor. And in Marion, it's been time after time. Well, EThOs, your networking events that you've had have been great. I've met so many people through those, and then they've reached out with ideas. My ideas right now have all been focused on open a shop.
Yes.
So beyond that,
Patience, folks, patience.
right. They've been supplying ideas. I can't wait to contribute back and share the ideas that I have there.
How do you balance? I mean, you've alluded that you may have more than one child. And how do you balance running a very have to be present type business and family life? I mean, this is not like a behind the scenes service or an internet based company. I mean, this is a physical building that you're serving customers in your shop. And how do you do that and have family
you
time?
can't always say, okay, this week I really can't open the shop.
Right.
Exactly. Oh, it's such a tough balance. When I opened my first shop, I remember having a meeting with my family. I have 4 children, and I said, guys, I want to do this, but I've got to know that you're on board with me. So are we opening an ice cream shop? Okay, great. No, I won't be making dinner this year. So I'll have food in the house, but you're going to have to help on that end.
Yeah. Are they boys?
And, boys and girls. And,
Okay.
3.5 years later, I haven't gotten back in the habit. Dinner can, that's just one of those things I'm not going to worry about.
Yeah.
It'll happen, So there's that kind of thing. Thankfully, this business is one where I can include my kids. So all 3 of my older kids have worked for me. And my youngest, who's 11, she's very familiar with the shop and familiar with the employees. And she'll be, earning her paycheck as soon as, she's old enough to actually be working behind the counter. But it's really hard to balance being a business owner when you are the business. You are the scooper, you are the manager, you are everything. In opening this second shop, I've found myself waking up to work, going to sleep to work. When I'm not doing work, I'm feeling guilty that I'm not working, So I think that it's okay to choose that for a season to get the ice cream shop running. But then you have to dial back and make sure that you're taking care of yourself and your family.
Yeah.
I just booked a trip for myself in September to Florida. So I'm like, okay, that's when I'm going to check out. So
Faith, talk about some of your strengths as a business owner. You have a music education degree, so you probably have discovered a lot about yourself. What are some of those things that you've discovered?
Let's see. Well, as I said, I really love working with teenagers. I think that there's a connection that I can have there where I can be honest, but also really good at listening to them and seeing them for who they are. So that has helped a lot, because where I might want to like reprimand right away or be like, what were you guys thinking? I'm still saying that in my head. But I can be like, tell me what happened last night. I saw what happened on the camera, but tell me what happened. And then I'm like, oh, I see why you made that choice. Okay, let me teach you and train a little bit more. I can see I need to do some training here, that kind of thing. So I think that's a skill that like maybe some patience and listening that has helped in this. And then just I think that not having any experience has allowed me to take more risks than someone who might know a lot about business would take, because I don't realize I'm taking such a risk.
Yeah, sure.
So your employees, are they also influencing your marketing and your strategies and helping kind of guide the business? Would be one of my questions. And the other is just accolades to you for putting yourself out there on social media and being quirky and all of that, because people do want to know who they're doing business with, and they do want it to be authentic. They don't want it to be so overly staged that you're like a robot, or it's being read and I can tell that you're reading it.
Yeah.
So
that's really hard. Yeah. Yeah, what was the first question?
The first question, sorry, I should have done that second. I should have reversed my order. But you have all these young people who presumably, I probably generalize, are really good at social media and marketing.
Yeah,
Maybe they're not. But like, are they influencing you or guiding you or making suggestions as far as the marketing side? I see.
So not as much as I want.
Okay.
I would love to get more input from the employees in the marketing. They do help me with some things here and there, or my kids will tell me if something's too cringe to post. But I haven't tapped into that as much as I should. That's actually a good idea, and I'm logging that away. So thank you. And I've been using them in their scooping abilities. But the other side, the social media side, I didn't even have an Instagram account personally before I opened the shop. So learning that whole world was pretty tricky at first. And I take that back. One of my older daughters, she has helped me a lot with the marketing side of things. And when I decided to just start making videos, the first couple times that I would make a story and like tell what was going on, it was like, I don't know, 8 takes before I finally could post something. And eventually I was just like, I can't do this if I do that. So now I have a rule, and I'm like, 1 take and I'm done. Like, I post it no matter what, no matter how many mess ups I have or grammatical errors. And I do feel like I've been able to connect with people that way. It's kind of crazy. I'll go out in the community and people will be like, oh, hi, you're the ice cream lady. And I'm like, hi. Like, I have so many more friends than I even knew, because they know who I am. The other day I was walking into the shop and had my arms full, and someone rushed over and opened the door to me, and they're like, you're the owner. I'm so glad to meet you. And I'm like, I'm so glad to meet you. Thank you. Yeah. It's pretty exciting.
Well, that's fun and exciting, but there's challenges, right?
Absolutely.
So can you talk about a couple of your challenges that you've had as a business owner?
So there are a lot of challenges as a small business owner. And one of the ones that I faced is just not knowing what to do. I didn't have the experience. In my first store, I used the Small Business Development Center, SIU, like crazy. They were a huge asset to me. So they helped me because I didn't know what I needed to do legally, or in food, you have to have the health department involved, and building codes, because I built that shop from the ground. So those were some really big challenges that I faced. And then the other thing is that Illinois' minimum wage is really high. And so to employ a lot of teenagers like I do, I have 33 right now.
Wow.
That's a huge spendings on wages when the minimum wage is that high. So learning how to balance that, not feeling bad that I have to send a worker home if we're not busy, but I'm overstaffed, that kind of thing has been really challenging, because one of my biggest focuses was to give these kids an opportunity to work. So just finding balance, I think, is the the key,
Right.
you know.
And what have you had to adjust to make it work?
Yeah. Technically, I've decided to do the tipped wage allowance that Illinois allows. So they make a base wage and they make tips at the shop. And Illinois is one of the highest tipping states in America. So they make great tips here. And so those tips will add up and get them to the minimum wage. And so all of the scoopers that I have from the beginning and who I grandfathered into the wages I gave them at full minimum wage, my new scoopers, I've had to bring in at a lower wage that their tips take them to that minimum wage, and they're all super eager to do it anyway. I've had so many kids apply for the second store. I've had almost 50 applications. I interviewed, 20 or 30 of them, and then I was able to hire 14. So that was awesome. But that's a big new expense, and so they all came in at that wage. They're happy. They earn their tips. They do a great job. And that's been one of the adjustments that I was able to make.
I love the title, Scooper.
Yes, me too.
I was going to think of a retirement plan for me. So.
Absolutely. It's so much fun.
You might have aged out of her.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, when you talk about, taking on employees at a high minimum wage, it's not like you're selling a car or house and you're making thousands of dollars. It takes a lot of dishes of ice cream, even with a good margin or markup to get there. So that's a learning curve. I applaud you.
Yeah, thank you. It has been a learning curve for sure. Looking back at old reports of, okay, what was my profitability during these hours on this kind of day of the week and stuff like that, to really be like, okay, I can do with 2 scoopers on that shift. I definitely need 3 or 4 on a busy weekend, that kind of thing. Takes a lot of learning.
Well, and just being willing to look back at history, and look at volume per hour, or look at, things that aren't selling, things that, you're going to make 3 people mad because it's their favorite, but they're the only 3 people who order it. I mean, it's tough decisions, but you have to look at the big picture, because if you don't make the tough cuts, then you're not going to be here, and you're not going to be able to open a 3rd or 4th store.
Yay, thank you.
that's good. Well, this is the 5th year that EThOs has been on the square.
Awesome.
And so a downtown ice cream place has been on the front of my mind from the very beginning.
Good. Yeah.
You mentioned that you were from Pennsylvania, and you kind of got the idea of, was that small towns in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I lived in small town Pennsylvania for about 5 years, and it was just so much fun, that community.
So you also had kind of a philosophy of downtown ice cream shops.
Absolutely. When you go out of town, that's what the first thing I look for is one of those small town ice cream shops that's making their own waffle cones, and you've got all the flavors you want it hand scooped. So that's what I wanted to bring to the community. It just makes people feel good. Yeah.
Well, and I think even, 3 years ago, before we started major renovation, if you came to the show at Cultural Center, which, that's an 1,100 seat venue, when you came out, there was nothing open. A couple of bars, but there was no place to grab a dessert. And, so I do think that there are a number of people who are figuring out how to adjust their hours to different activities that are happening. And I feel like just overall, there's a greater opportunity to retain people before and after shows and other things that happen. So I'm happy. I know it's probably more expensive to be adjacent to the square as opposed to 5 blocks off, but I just feel like it's a solid choice. So I applaud you for making that investment.
Yeah, I feel like I couldn't be happier to be on the square. Marion's done such a great job bringing the community here to the downtown and the surrounding areas, and the support that I feel from the city is huge. That is what makes it feel like a safe risk to take, Right. So, and then just all the events where you bring people in, Marion brings people into the city, it's helpful, and it's huge, and it works, and it makes us feel safe in being a business.
Right. Well, we'll tell you that this summer I've seen many more people walking downtown.
Awesome.
Even when in spring when the college students were out, I saw college students and their parents.
Awesome.
And I, of course,
yeah.
have bird's eye view of seeing what's
Yeah.
downtown. So walkable ice cream, I think, is really cool. Like you're in one place
Definitely.
and someone says, well, where's the ice cream at?
Exactly.
You can say, well, you walk across the square. It's right there. That's really important, I think, as we do downtown revitalization, is that you've got those walkable destinations. You don't have to get back in your car and drive
Right.
across town.
Exactly, because I think a thriving downtown needs something to come for and something to stay for. So if you have somewhere you want to come, you come to see a show, then I'm going to stay because I'm going to get dinner at the bistro and then ice cream at the dip. I think that really works. So I'm glad to be one of those pieces.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like we are super lucky because we also have so much residential within walking.
Absolutely.
And, I'm just watching the houses get bought up by people who want to really do restoration or renovation.
Yes.
And that's everything from, super young couples with no kids to, seniors. And so I don't know, I just feel like we're going to continue to see more dog walkers, more strollers, more
Yeah.
things happening. But for anybody to not have to get in a car, whether they walk or ride their bike in the extreme heat is,
What's cultural too, I think,
Absolutely.
And I remember visiting Cooperstown, New York, and there's a lot of great baseball stuff there. I remember the ice cream shop vividly.
Right. That's where you make the memories.
It's downtown,
right?
historic. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, if I lived down here, I would be biking to the library with my kiddos, and then we'd go over and get ice cream, of course, and just play in the fountain, or not play in the fountains, but visit the fountains.
well, if you stand just right, the mist will hit you, whether you want it to or not. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a great community down here.
Anything that we miss that you're like...
I would just say one other thing that I'm excited about is collaborating with the schools. I'm a huge collaborator with the schools in Carterville. I have a little ice cream trailer, so we'll bring it down there for reward days or their kindergarten beach day, or staff appreciation day. And so I've already been approached by one of the school administrators saying, hey, we have this award day every year. Can you bring your ice cream, or can we bus the kids to your shop? And I just love that kind of collaboration because it's super fulfilling to me to actually be a part of the community. Like they know my shop brings them joy, they bring me joy. It's just really fulfilling and rewarding. It turns it from, at the beginning, I wanted it to kind of just be an adventure. Like I've never done anything bucket list wise or adventure wise with my life. Let's have an adventure. And now I'm like, this is actually one of my greatest joys of my life is having this play out and being able to be a part of people's lives and letting them into mine. I had some customers just the other day at Carterville stop me and say, hey, look at our pictures. You're part of our engagement. They had done a scavenger hunt and gone to the dip because that's where their first date was, and like, look, we just got engaged and you're part of our story. I was so touched. Like how humbling that I got to be, in their story. So
That's perfect.
Yeah.
The trailer that you have, are you using it for catering, or is it more this event line of business that you're talking about?
Yeah, I think it's our best events, I feel like, have been weddings. We've done a lot of weddings with the trailer, which is great, and I love it's super fun to be part of that special day. And then I've done a lot of the networking with the schools for reward days. I think those are the two that I enjoy the most. I've done some markets here and there, and those are also fun, but I feel the most reward from the weddings and the schools involvement. And now with 2 shops open, it's like a third shop.
Sure.
So I really have to budget the time that I spend there because that one includes me specifically. I've got to drive it there. I've got to bring it home. So that one's a little bit more of an investment of time.
Yeah. This is a big week for you because you're opening here in Marion. And what does that look like?
Yes, thank you. I'm super excited. It looks like a lot of morning work and training and employees and frantic getting things ready. And then in the evenings, we're going to have some soft openings. So the shop won't completely be ready yet, but look online, find the hours for which days we're going to be open for practicing. And we'd love to have you come join. Come in, let us practice, let us give you a scoop and enjoy the space. It may not be completely ready yet, but I'm so excited for you to see it. It's going to be a great place to gather.
That's great.
And when you say look online, where would you like people to find that information?
So you can find us on Facebook or on Instagram. If you want to type in the code thing, it's just downtown.dip. And we're on there. We'll have all of the information. You can follow the posts for, solid information, or the stories for a day-to-day what's going on at the shop today.
That's cool.
And will the information for both stores be on one social media channel, or is there a Carterville dot Marion?
So far, it's on one store, and this is where I've been logging. Like, maybe I should have one of my younger, employees start managing that for me, because if I need to separate activities, I'm at a loss. That's something I don't have figured out yet.
It will come, just like everything else.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's on the list, right?
Yes.
Well, my why for opening an ice cream shop would be I want to eat all the product.
Oh,
but
gosh.
what is your why for your business?
Can I read you my motto?
Sure.
The Downtown Dip mission is, the Downtown Dip is dedicated to providing top quality products and excellent customer service in a clean and community-focused environment. So for me, that means that I want to train teenagers to give that service that is important, gain that work ethic, to have a place for the community to gather and to come together and to just enjoy delicious desserts.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been a
This has been
pleasure.
great.
And thank you for opening business in downtown Marion, too.
Thank you. I'm
Excited.
so excited. Thank you for the support. Appreciate it.
And thank you again to our listeners and watchers and supporters of the Small Town Big Business podcast. Shout out to our sponsors, Arcadia Wealth Group, Banterra Bank, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, the Southern Illinois Now, Swinford Media Group, our producer, Union Street Arts, and that is Luke O'Neill, and also the Watermark Auto Group Foundation. Thank you to them all.
Thanks for being with us today. I hope, like Russ and I, you always find something new out about a local business, and if you enjoy it, please share it with somebody else. I'm Jennifer Olson, Director of Business Development at the City of Marion. You can find me at City Hall. I've stopped saying new because we've been there a year now.
Yeah.
Oh, I just said it. Whoops. Or you can find my contact information on LinkedIn.
And I'm Russell Williams. You can find everything at ethosmarion.org. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Small Town Big Business podcast.